Okay, we have a requested topic that we're going to look at right now. And the requested topic is homeopathy, that stuff. So basically, the question is homeopathy, I don't know if I'm saying it right, but that's okay. So that if it is absolute just crap, or if it is like touching real magic, or what the deal is with it. So let's just look at this homeopathy, however we say it. Let's take a peek and see what we get. Random word muzzlefuck. Number 26. Muzzlefuck, that's a new one. All right. Okay. Bloop, bloop, bloop. All right, so our root card is the Seven of Wands. And so usually the way the root card works, if the person doesn't ask me or doesn't tell me what the question is, if I'm doing a reading for them, I can usually look at the root card and figure out what the actual topic is. Now here, for this to show up, so the Seven of Wands is about coming out of a restriction. So the person was lost in the forest, right? And just through not giving up and through guts, they eventually just push their way out of this restrictive space and into the wide open, maybe even the great unknown out here. Now, one thing that I would note is when homeopathy was developed, it was at the time that they were also doing bloodletting and like all kinds of different things that were actually very harmful to people. And homeopathy, from what I understand it, is essentially taking, so whatever the substance is that they're using to treat a disease, they dilute it to the point where it is almost non-existent in whatever it is that they give it through, whether it's sugar water or alcohol or whatever. So there would be a tiny, tiny, tiny bit of whatever the thing was that was supposed to um, heal whatever is wrong. So diluted to the point that it's almost not there at all. It kind of puts it on line with like placebo, and we know that placebo is pretty goddamn effective, right? And placebo is just the power of the human mind to heal ourselves. So what we're looking at here is if homeopathy is placebo, if it's like the same thing basically, or if there's something specifically about it that is valid, you know. But here, this is showing coming out of a restriction, and the restriction to like medicine, and also the restriction to people's health in those days was leeches and bloodletting and like all kinds of fucking crazy shit that they were doing to people to try to heal them in the 1700s. All right. So, our first card is a reversed Nine of Pentacles. The Nine of Pentacles is feeling good about yourself because of material control. The Nine of Pentacles reversed is basically showing no material control. I mean, as far as this would relate to homeopathy. So we would just say, I guess, that this is showing that there is no material in there. Like the material control or the substance that they would use at this point, it just does not matter. So at that point, it may as well strictly be the sugar water or alcohol or fucking whatever it is that they're distributing it in. Now, the question is, where do we kind of go from here? So I I want to see, I guess, so this will be the material level, right? So we're going to take a look at it on the emotional level down here and on the spiritual level up here, because it definitely seems more like a magical practice than anything else. So we'll go emotional first and spiritual. Wow. All right. So on the emotional level, so the Two of Swords is basically about being deadlocked or essentially fighting yourself. Now, um, the Two of Swords reversed is kind of cheating around fighting yourself. It would basically show that emotionally, if you were blocking yourself from essentially healing or being okay or whatever, you know, completely deadlocked in your head and not moving forward, then emotionally this would take care of that, or it would cheat around it. Now, all right, here's an example. When I would explain the Two of Swords to clients in the past, so this is a deadlock in the head, right? Now, I had a friend who was a photographer and a really, really good photographer, but she hated herself and she would never give herself credit for doing anything well. Um, so she wouldn't allow herself to be a professional photographer. That is a Two of Swords. One day, she named her camera. She named her camera Paco and would just say that Paco takes good pictures. So she didn't have to take credit for being a good photographer. So she kind of cheated around this self loathing that she had and ended up becoming a professional photographer. So that's the kind of like just sort of skirting around a mental block that homeopathy can provide. And that makes perfect sense to me. Now, when we look at this on a spiritual level, so the Three of Swords is heartbreak and betrayal. It's interesting because we do have the 2 and the 3. But the Three of Swords is heartbreak and betrayal. Now, the Three of Swords reversed is normally I would read this as like really, really old energy. And this is like an echo from past days. But in this specific case, I think it would kind of be a decreasing of this energy, like, and in fact we might specifically be looking at the heart, and like on a spiritual level it would kind of decrease all of the heart trauma, you know. Now this would also make more sense if these were reversed, if spiritually this was like being able to move forward, and emotionally then we would have the heart stuff. But that is not the way that it showed up. Okay, so now I'm going to pull a card to see if this would be useful for just anybody. I mean, it does seem, with all of this stuff, it does seem like it would be useful for energetic workers, for magic users, right? Um, and it seems like it would be pretty good for that. Now, let's just see if, I guess it is on the top, if it would be useful for anybody else. And the Seven of Swords is pretty much about pressure, pressure to do something specific that you might not be ready to do. And the Seven of Swords reversed it really shows how a person should plan. It's like saying, don't fucking wing it, don't trust, don't trust it to luck, you know. Go through all of the parts and really do your research, because this shows a situation that could really be harmful. Now here, like, the jester is doing the trick, and they're kind of fucking winging it. You see their fingers are crossed because they're trusting the luck, and that rope is about to break. Oh shit! And he's about to swallow that sword. Um, and he got in this position because he allowed himself to be pressured into it. Now, when this is upside down, it really says, take a look at all of the steps, study this shit, because you could end up swallowing the sword. So, for this to show up, would this be good for just anybody? No, it would not. Um, and this would say that most people would need to go through all the steps to do all of the research and all of that, because they might have a real fucking issue that they are not capable of dealing with, or at least not willing to deal with, through just energetic means and will and all of that. So, homeopathy, this looks like it would be useful for a magician, for a magic user, probably for a Reiki healer or something like that. And it just wouldn't be that useful for other people. And at the end of the day, it's kind of an excuse. It's like permission to be good again. You know, it's giving yourself permission to heal. And in that way, it makes a lot of sense. But if if there is a real problem for most people, it would probably not work. That is what we get here, and peace.